Hi, and welcome to Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse Skinner, and I'm working through a demo of React.js. So far, I've converted an HTML page into a React component, and I've added a couple extra components to simplify my code and organize it a bit better. So next thing I want to do is create yet another component, which is going to simplify it even further. So let's have a look at my code. So what I want to do, I have these options for the different answers to the question, and I have a bit of repetition here. It's kind of the same thing over and over. So what I want to be able to do is simplify this. I want to create basically an array of options and pass that into a new component. So my new component, I'm going to call it a radio option group, and I'm going to pass it an array. So let's write that array first, so I know what I want to be able to pass in. So I want to have radio options. It's going to be an array, JavaScript array, and inside that I'm going to have objects. So in each object I'm going to define a value and a label. So value newspaper and label newspaper. And so the nice way of doing it this way is that later I might be able to add different options to this. Let's scale a little bit that way. So I also have what else? So I'm just gonna get rid of these. Next one is value TV, label television. And what I'm gonna do is basically loop over this array and create the radio option components for it. So I have just two more here, search engine, and finally social. Now I also have that other option, and I'm going to deal with that separately. I'm going to also put that as part of the group. So I'm going to get rid of that as well, and let me just keep two of them. I'm going to cut to my clipboard. And so what I'm going to have here is just, I want to have a radio option group. I'm going to pass it in options as a property. And I'm going to pass in my radio options array and close that. So my code has become quite a lot simpler. I just have an array of the questions I want to ask, so I can maybe pull that out of a database if I have a content management system or whatever. Otherwise, it's just easy to write them there, and it's simple. And then I'm going to pass that to my radio option group, which I haven't yet created. So let me make a new file, radio option group.jsx. And I'm going to create my component by using React create class with an object. I'm going to make a render method, and I'm going to return some HTML. Now let me paste, I still have on my clipboard one of the options and the radio other option. So what I want to do, I have the options in my props, so I need to loop over that, and for each of them I'm going to create one of these radio options. Now the way to do that, there's a few ways to do it, but an easy way to do it is to use map, which is an ES5 JavaScript method on arrays. And since React actually requires ES5, if you want it in older browsers, you need to use an ES5 shim. So because I know that that's going to be there, I can rely on it, and I can use map. So what I'm going to do is use this.props.options. That's my array. I'm going to call the map method of that array, and I'm going to pass it in a function, and it's going to pass me back each option, and then I can return something from this map function. And what it's going to do is basically glue all those returns together. And in this case, I can return some HTML, but I'm going to return my component. So I'm returning my radio option, and Right now, if I leave it like this, a few things I need to do first. So I already know one thing that's going to break is the fact that I'm returning multiple elements. React requires that you can only return one root element. So what I need to do is wrap this in a div. So I'm just going to create a simple div, indent it all, and then a closing div. So if I didn't do that, it would throw an error saying that I can't do it this way. So I'll just wrap it in a div. You can use any element. And then if I keep it like that and save this, and then make sure I link in my new component on my HTML page, that's radio option group. If I save this and refresh my browser, it should, yeah, I have now 5 answers of social media. And the reason is I haven't actually used the different values of the option. So if I go back to my radio option group, I just have social media here over and over again. So what I need to do is replace the label with option.label and replace the value here with option.value. Now if I save that, I should be able to refresh, and there. Now I have all my options. My code's become a lot simpler. My option group is quite simple. My demo page is very simple, and it's easy to manage. Oh, one thing I almost forgot about is that when you do this map technique of looping over, React's going to complain. So if I go into my console, there, then here it says each child in an array should have a unique key prop. So check the render method of radio option group. So what it's telling me to do is in my radio option group, I need to add a key property to each of these, and that's going to help React render this a little smoother. So if those options change for some reason, if the order of them change, it's going to be able to deal with that. So I can use any value I want for the key as long as it's different for each option. And so I can just pass in the value because I know the value is going to be different for each option. So if I save that and go back to the browser, refresh, yeah, that error is gone. All right, so that wraps it up. In the next episode, I'm going to add a property to the group to toggle whether or not to display the other option. And I hope you stay tuned. Thanks for watching.